flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, thank you for the loving and caring community we have the opportunity to serve. We're grateful for all you do, and we ask that you continue your hand of protection on our police, our fire, our service, our schools, and our administration. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, Ms. Muscatella, call the roll.
Ms. Grazia? Ms. Simons? Here. Mr. Ziegler? Mr. Fenstermaker?
Here.
Mr. Hamer?
Here.
Mr. Scholes?
Here.
Mr. Smolik?
Here. Okay, moving on to the public hearing, ordinance number 25-0-4, amending codified ordinance section 1261.10 relating to yards and their definitions. Anybody from the public here would like to speak? Okay, we will close the public hearing. Moving on to reading and approval of the minutes of the January 13, 2025 work session.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Joe Smolik with the motion to approve, Julie with the second. Ms. Muscatella?
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the minutes of the January 13th, 2025 council meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Smolik, Ms. Simon, motion.
That'll be with
and,
that one.
We were married yet.
Mr. Schultz with the second.
Got to keep this to a working relationship, okay?
Ms. Muscatella, please call the roll.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to department reports. Chief Hutton?
Thank you, Mr. President. Formal report was sent out today. You should all have that. A lot of training going on right now. We're kind of in the heat of a lot of things. Blue Card, 2 of our new firefighters went through Blue Card Command. The monthly competency last month was ice rescue, so we had all 3 shifts. We finally had ice. We haven't actually had ice for the last 3 years, so we're able to do that. I've got 4 officers in the Fire Officer 1 and 2 class, and we're doing a big training for the Kirtland schools on the 10th, where we're going to be teaching all the teachers updating CPR, AED, stop the bleed, fire extinguisher, Narcan, and seizure training. And that's about it. I'm open for any questions.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Chief Hutton?
Chief, actually, I just happened to read a little bit on the Next Gen 911, system that they're, starting to implement, it looks like. Read a recent story. They started in 2 of the counties, I think Washington and Monroe in Ohio, and there's another 10 or something. Have you heard much on this, or what can you tell us on the Next Gen?
Well,
I know it's going digital from the analog.
I've attended the meetings that they've had in the county. I've gone to all the meetings, and they're still working on Next Gen. They're trying to get things rolled out, trying to see how many dispatch centers will stay, the PSAPs. There's unknown costs on everything right now. It could be anywhere between 50 and 500,000 for an upgrade, and there's a lot of unknowns. The Next Gen will do a lot of different things, and for us in Willoughby, we do know Willoughby is definitely going to go Next Gen, and what will happen for us is we'll immediately receive all of our 911 calls. Central Communication, about 85% of the calls they receive are cell phone calls. So those cell phone calls that are in Willoughby and the city of Kirtland will now go directly to Willoughby. So we'll be able to have immediate dispatch when that happens. It'll also have text. They'll be able to send video. There's a lot of training, a lot of hoops to jump through for the dispatch centers that want to keep and maintain their own PSAPs. But I know for sure it sounds like some will and some are going to have to rethink it.
A little I read on it seemed like they're not particularly beneficial for the rural counties for the geolocation, being digital as opposed to the analog or something, you know, by being able to find, you know, where the calls come from, that type of stuff. I just started reading a little bit about it, and I get a whole lot. The other thing I saw that we've kind of been funding it, or the phone's been funding it. There was a 25-cent charge for people with cell phone subscribers that went up to 40 cents last January. That'll go through this September of 25. Is that just the initial funding on it?
Right. So the way I understand it is that money is collected. Currently, all those funds go to Lake County Central Communications because they receive all the 911 calls right now. What will happen is those funds will be divided between those PSAPs that keep and maintain. They have to maintain a certain high standard of whatever set by the 911 committee in Lake County. And the way I understand it is if any of those communities don't meet that standard, Lake County would lose all the funding.
And the other thing I saw in the article was, were they requiring with that 5 years that everybody in Ohio's got to switch over to this? Is that a requirement I'm seeing on that, or?
Yes and no. I'm pretty sure. It seems like they've loosened things up, but I do believe Lake County is going to push for everybody to.
Gotcha.
If you're going to keep a dispatch center, you're going to have to be next gen.
Appreciate that, Chief. Thank you.
Chief, I just want to publicly thank Lieutenant Dan Sam for his help earlier today. Secondly, I just want to let you know I'll be reaching out to you in the next couple of days to talk about your capital needs with the budget talks coming up. So, thanks.
Okay, anything else for Chief Hutton? Okay, Chief McAllister?
Thank you, Council President Fenstermaker. I don't have much tonight. We did send our report over before the meeting. We had our annual banquet last week with the police department and their family members. We were able to cater some food and just have it here in council chambers. It was nice to get everybody together, break bread, and give out a couple of awards for all the effort the guys have put in this year. I think the most significant thing is I believe we had 6 or 7 officers that didn't call off sick, and that's most of our department, which is outstanding. And I just appreciate all they did, especially given all the vacancies and shifts we had to cover this year. They really picked up a lot of slack for the city and the department. Patrolman Gibson has been released. He's on his own now. He finished his field training program, so it's nice to have him up and running. Katie Atterbury is doing very well in her program. She will be a full train, but she had the city streets and everything memorized within her second day of being here, so she is a very fast study. I think that'll complete my report for the night, but I'm open for any questions.
Any questions for Chief McAllister?
Just, Chief, we have one more position we need to fill then? Or are we?
2 more.
We need one more officer then? 2 more? Oh, okay. Had any luck with applications?
We're looking at one candidate now. We don't have anything outstanding. I think what I'm going to look to do in the near future is put together an entry-level test using the National Testing Network so we can try to broaden our field of new applicants and see if we can get some people out of the academies.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Fernaro?
Good evening, everybody. As usual, I'd like to thank the team for doing a great job, through winter and all the storms. Couple quick winter updates for you. We're at 49 storm events now. From last year, we only had 34 for the whole year. A little fact for you, Mr. Smolik. Do you want to take a guess on how many gallons of fuel in the last 2 months?
How many gallons of fuel
Yes,
in 2 months?
just diesel.
Well, let me put my Rain Man hat on.
I'll answer it for you.
I'm going to go with 2,836 gallons.
7,400 gallons of fuel in 2 months.
Oh, man.
So the trucks have been running constantly. And with that, that'll complete my report.
How has fuel, diesel prices been? Where they've been locked in around
Actually pretty low. They're at 241.
Reese, how much?
241.
241?
Mr. Finaro, went back through last year's legislation, and it's about this time you start to solicit some bids for pavement marking. And I wanted to ask you if there's any feasibility in trying to partner with communities surrounding us and kind of entering into a MOU to try to get a bigger, create a larger contract in order to save a couple dollars.
Yeah, we could look at
Or less get more work done.
We could look into that. I know the chief down in Kirtland Hills has reached out, and we've used the same contractor. So yeah, we could look at that. I know Menor uses their own. They went out and bought a striping truck. So I don't think we could go that route, but we can take a look.
Okay, thank you.
Joe, can you review for us, because we've had a bunch of residents asking sort of what the order is that we take care of the streets, like what's top priority and then kind of what goes from there and how the guys handle that. Could you just review that?
I can, but I will tell you that every storm is different. So, and the makeup of the city is different. So
Absolutely.
we could have snow on the south end and nothing on the north end. So every storm is different. So what I'm going to give you is subject to change depending on storm. But we start with all our main roads. That would be 6, 306, Kirtland, Chardon. From there, we branch off into our secondary roads. Billings, Sperry, Heath, Tibbetts, and Worrell. Tibbetts and Worrell usually go on our main routes. It depends on the storm. And then we go into our side streets. With those secondary streets, we'll also hit some of the side roads that have hills. And that's usually how we go about it.
And this last one that happened yesterday, that was kind of ice before it was snow and was a,
So that storm, if you're talking about yesterday, that storm started about 1:45. I was here at 1:15. The crews were on the road by, I'd say, it was before 2. So within 20 minutes, they were on the road. By 3 o'clock, those main roads were done and they were starting the side roads. So to that storm, I want to thank the police department. They did a great job helping us out and fire, but it couldn't have been done any faster. So I think you have to realize that storm came down, it was about 1.5 inches in and out. So, 306 is about 5-6 miles long. And then when you throw in the traffic, it takes a while to get there. So it's winter. There's going to be some snow on the road.
and they don't plow without salting, correct?
We usually drag our plows no matter what, but sometimes we don't.
Okay.
If we're talking about one side road that I think you're talking about, so I got a call from Mr. Gibson, actually, who did a great job out there holding the traffic for me to salt that road. That road was plowed before I got there. So by the time they called to come back around, the road was already plowed and done to the top of the hill.
Okay. For everybody else's knowledge, we're talking about Gildersleeve, the hill on Gildersleeve. We've gotten some phone calls about. So I'm just asking the questions to make sure that, we've had the discussion. So.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Fenaro? Okay, moving on. Mr. Courtney?
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. I'll start off with the 24 streets real quick. Closeout documents are with the Finance Department and with Mr. Lallo. So you should see those at the next meeting for closeout for the 24 program. 25 streets and 10-year street plan we're working with the mayor and the Finance Department on available budgets for this year. Once we have that number pinned down, we'll make a street selection to see what we're going to do. And then we're still in the process of updating the 10-year street plan based on what we anticipate available funding will be from here out. The Wisner Wall, we submitted a fee estimate for getting the wall designs and the plans done and taking it to bid documents. Estimated fees are about $50,000 to get to that point, and we'll be submitting that to Lake County Stormwater for pre-funding. That's all I have for now.
Mr. Courtney, what's the manner of the repair? Soil nail or?
What we've talked about with SME is pulling those slabs and reusing them. We don't, I mean, we've already paid for them. So incorporating those into whatever the repair is, and would likely be setting that base slab lower, below the ordinary high water mark so it doesn't get scoured underneath. And then laying them back at a little more gentle angle than what they are right now, straight up and down, basically. But that's the, that's what SME has recommended. And we're just waiting to get that pre-funding in order so we can get them moving on some wall designs, and then we'll be doing the survey. CW Courtney will be doing the survey work, and then once we have the wall drawings from them, we'll be putting the final plan package together.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Courtney? Mr. Slatniker, you're up.
Thank you, Council President Fenstermaker. As you can imagine, we are in the thick of the 2025 budget process. So I have one department head meeting tomorrow, and that will conclude all of my department head meetings. The mayor and I have already met a couple different times, and we'll be meeting also with the council president and the finance chair as we prepare to get the first reading submitted for next week. On the agenda tonight, we do have an amendment to the temporary budget. I've provided council with the line item changes. Most of them all relate to insurance claims. We had an emergency repair at one of our wastewater treatment plants and some stop signs related to a NOPEC grant. So I am requesting that, if possible, this be passed this evening. And the last item on my report was last meeting I reported on the property taxes and the revaluation. So what the county had sent me had we always talk about the 94%, so they always have a 6% reduction for delinquencies. So at that time, that's what I had in front of me. So I have the Schedule A at the 100%. So on our inside millage, which would be general fund and police pension fund, those are actually increasing 25%. For property tax dollar figure, if we were to collect 100% of the property taxes and you compare that apples to the prior year, it is $218,766 increase in the general fund over last year.
I would expect it to go the other way if you're going up.
The total assessed valuations were up 25%. So it's almost, if from last year's collections, 25% up is what they're anticipating at 100% collections.
Oh, okay. I'm just thinking in terms of the pure dollar. I think last time you mentioned 238,000. So I was thinking that it was going to.
That was probably with the police pension, that number.
Oh, okay.
So the 218 is just the general fund. So we can get, we can get into the specifics on each fund, once we have that first budget meeting as
No,
well.
I just missed that. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So any questions for me?
I have no questions. Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Slapnick?
Louis, with respect to the legislation, the bottom line number there, it's 2.6 million. And then in the first section 1, it has 2.617. Am I missing? Is there a typo there, or is that?
No, it should not be a typo. Because I hand footed those myself. Let me take a look at that while we continue on.
If not, we'll just amend it.
I'm sorry, footing is an accounting term for adding it up, straight up and down.
You mean in section 1?
Cross footing is adding up across, so yeah. Footing across.
We probably used them.
Are you looking at that now, Louis? Because I was going to hold until you got through that. Okay, fair enough. All right, moving on to Mr. Lallo, Law Director.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I don't have too much to offer aside from, I know I think it was Ms. Raleigh was working with the publisher for our codified ordinances. The bill to publish and update all the ordinances is fairly hefty. Turns out it has been done since 2018. So I think it was like 14,000. But if you were to do it annually, it's between 5,000 and 7,000. So if we did it every year, it's still, we're paying less. But if we were to do this every year or every other year, I think we could get to a more reasonable figure. So I think I'll talk with the mayor and finance director to figure out the best course of action, or how often, depending on each year, how often we're updating the ordinances or whatever it might be. But
Mr. Lallo, is that due to the volume that we're trying to get updated, or is it?
I think it's, what they indicated is it's just every year, if you're going to do it, they go through all of the state statutes and make sure if we're mirroring those state statutes, that if those are updated, then our ordinances are going to be updated accordingly as well. So it depends. I don't think it's necessarily the city's volume of ordinances that are being changed. It's just overall the volume, whether it's state statutes, our ordinances, and whatnot. So
it's the research, not just publishing.
correct. Because if what I would imagine they have to do is they have to update it from 2018 and 19, 19 and 20, and just work down that line to make sure they're getting all the right changes put in there. So I have that, and then I don't have too much more to offer unless you all have questions for me.
Mr. Lallo, I just wanted to ask if you had heard any updates relative to the 2505 ordinance surrounding AT&T's support of-
They withdrew their application to for that change, but it doesn't mean that something's coming down the pipe. So thankfully, though, through the efforts of the Ohio Municipal League and the cities throughout the state, they did put enough pressure on them to withdraw that request. But it's out there. So, and I think the OML indicated that they're bracing up for a fight. It's going to happen at some point.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Schultz, real quick. So what was the number that you're looking? Because I just redid my numbers and they tie out correctly.
I was speaking of, so you got 2.676 footed, and then in section 1, you got 2.617, 585.
It's not within the actual legislation itself?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that would need corrected to my appendix section. I did not see within the actual legislation side of it.
So here, there's the block of all the fund amounts and fund numbers and amounts in the whereas clause. Okay, that's 2.676, and then the section 1 is 2.617, which
2,676,000.
okay, so section 1 needs to be amended to reflect the 2,676 and change, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the section where it has the fund numbers listed with the total dollar amounts, it amounts to $2,676,743.34. That's the number.
Okay.
You want to make a motion amend when we get to it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Louis. Thank you, Matt. Julia, service.
I do not have a formal report for the senior center. It's business as usual. I just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who has helped me as I learn my new role. Everyone from the mayor to department heads, council, everyone in the admin office, the senior center attendants, and the seniors themselves. They've all been extremely helpful and made my job a lot easier. I'm open for any questions.
Anybody have any questions this evening? Thank you for your update. Appreciate it. Should I forget the mayor and just go right on, or should we? All right. Mayor?
Normally, I'd say absolutely, but I would ask that consider changing or amending the actual agenda this evening. So I'd sent out an email to the council president and pro tem of council related to changing the meeting date. I think Council President Fenstermaker did send an email out to the rest of council regarding that. Oh, you didn't? Okay. So the meeting for the 19th, February 19th, we had asked to have it moved to the 18th.
I was good with it. Is everybody good with it?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Matt? You have to check. Julie? I'll send out an email to all of council tonight.
Well,
Here's the issue with that. It's an ordinance, so we have a resolution where we set the meeting dates.
Okay.
So
need to amend
that
that
being the next meeting, you'd have to make a decision today
Okay.
whether you'd want to make that change or not.
Okay.
So if you do, then what we'd have to do is just amend the agenda to include a new resolution, and then modify that one section where it discusses President's Day, and then change out that Wednesday to a Tuesday.
Mayor, what's the reasoning for the change?
I'll tell you offline, but it has to do with me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my request. I'm sorry. I should have said that when I brought it up.
What are the dates again?
Moving it from the 19th to the 18th.
I'm available.
I'm available, so it's not a problem for me.
Julie?
I'm fine with it.
Good. I'm good.
You just have to check.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well, there's 4 of us, so
we're
we'll
gonna,
go with it.
well, we only need 4 for that. We're not gonna, that's just a budget reading,
Well,
right?
I mean, if we're passing it by emergency,
Yeah.
You
this
need
evening, which
5.
you need,
Need
Yeah,
5.
I can do that.
Okay.
It's, are the other council persons available is the issue.
I'll reach out to Sue and Eric and just make sure they know.
I'm sure one of them can make it.
We just need to make sure.
Because if you
Eric-
if you
Eric
need
owes you in
5
attendance.
next meeting, then you might be the
Correct.
We're missing tonight.
I'd like to make a motion to,
Motion to,
Amend the agenda. to
need a
include-
motion to amend the resolution to change the
So
date.
here, I'll cue it up for you guys. Yeah, so it would be a motion to amend the agenda to include in the new business section, Resolution 2507. And that would include, sorry, one second. All right. There we go. So it'd be 25-R-7, a resolution amending resolution number 25-R-2 relating to establishing rules, time, and place of council meetings for the period from December 1, 2024 through November 30, 2025, and declaring an emergency. So the motion is to amend the agenda to include that provision in the new business section. Is there a motion?
so moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Schultz made the motion. Mr. Smolik, second. So we'll add that. We have to call the roll. Call the roll.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Motion, oh,
Nope, now we have it in the new business section, or new business section. When we get to that, we'll address it.
Okay.
So, yeah, first of all, thank you all very much for moving. Well, hopefully, you still have to pass the resolution, but hopefully moving the meeting. Just real quick, yeah, back to, I don't think I've gone a couple meetings here without thanking our service department team for all the work they've been doing over the last couple months. It's been lots of nights, lots of weekends, holidays, and it goes for police and fire as well. But they've been out working hard. Some pretty extreme conditions and things, some weather we haven't seen in the last couple of years. So thanks to everybody for that. Just quickly, thanks to Lewis and all the department heads that we've been meeting with. related to the budget. I look forward to kind of finalizing that here in the next week or so. I met with Council President Fenstermaker and Pro Tem Smolik just last week, just kind of for a cursory, kind of high-level, just, kind of directional discussion related to the budget. And then I'll be meeting with the Council President and Finance Director, as well as our Finance Chair of Council toward the weekend to, again, kind of tighten some things up and get some perspectives from those folks on that. Eddie Eckert has been doing a lot on the economic development side. Myself and Joe and Doug just had a good meeting with the county again related to potential sewers just the other day. And other than that, I guess I'll just open it up for questions. And thanks again to Wendy Zeely for coming. Thanks to council for their great questions leading up to that.
Okay, any additional questions for the mayor this evening? Going once, going twice. So, okay, thank you, Mayor. Moving on to standing committee reports. Any standing committee reports or updates? Okay. Moving on to correspondence. I'm not aware of any new correspondence. Public comments on matters not on the agenda. Any public comments this evening? Council President looks good. Anything? Okay. You put your hand up for a second, or was that?
Sir, in the yellow shirt, we just need name and address.
We need your name and address.
Sir?
Thank you. Somebody else?
Any other public comments?
No?
Actually, Mr. Datara, we spoke a little earlier pertaining to water a bill, so to speak. Now, Mr. Courtney, you spoke earlier. Is this something we should discuss after the meeting, so to speak, or that's related to the bill, their water sewer bill?
Yeah, and I think what he wants to bring up is, I think this is the appropriate time to do it.
Okay, going up and name and address, please.
My name is Marvin Tatar. I'm the treasurer of the East Shore Unitarian Universalist Church, Ward 3. Thank you, Joe, for helping me. What I have here is an invoice from the city, and it's always been $500. And the reason that it was always $500 was because there was an agreement between the city and the church that until the church brought 12 consecutive months of water usage, the bill wouldn't change. And now I've done that. Now, I don't care where the rate is. I just want it to be fair to both parties. Okay?
Okay.
And I spoke with Mr. Courtney and Mr. Fernaro before on that, and you want to meet up afterwards too? I don't know if you had got any numbers or anything in particular, so.
Okay.
And we could get together afterwards, Mr. Tatar, if you'd like to go into detail on that, sir.
And who should I give the check to?
Finance Director, please.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, moving on to old business. Public comments on agenda items of old business. Okay. Moving on to ordinance number 25-0-4, second reading. An ordinance amending codified ordinance section 1261.10 relating to yards and their definitions and declaring an emergency. Any discussion? Public comments. Okay. All right, moving on to new business. Public comments on agenda items of new business. Okay. Moving on to ordinance 25-0-6, an ordinance amending ordinance number 24-0-80 providing temporary appropriations for the 3-month period ending March 31, 2025. Need a motion?
Motion to waive the 3 readings, correct, Louis? We want-
Like,
Yeah.
make a motion to amend
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Motion amendment.
Motion to amend?
section 1 to read the total appropriation of $2,676,743.34 will replace $2,617,585.51.
So that's a motion to amend. We need a second on that motion.
Second.
Any discussion on that amendment?
Any discussions on the amendment? No
Thanks for catching that,
discussions?
ma'am.
Muscatella, call the roll.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes. Now motion to waive the 3 readings.
Okay, need a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Smolik with the motion to waive, Mr. Schultz with the second. Ms. Muscatella, call the roll.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
I'm sorry, the second was Mr. Smolik. I'm having issues with names tonight. The second was Smolik.
I thought it was
And,
Mr.
They both did.
Oh,
Did they both? Okay.
okay.
And now we're just looking
Okay.
for a motion to adopt.
Yep.
Motion to adopt, please.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Smolik with the motion to adopt, Ms. Simons with the second. Ms. Muscatella, please call the roll.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to 25-R-7. A resolution amending resolution number 25-R-2 relating to establishing rules, time, and place of council meetings for the period from December 1, 2024 through November 30th, 2025, and declaring an emergency.
And we're waiving.
So,
Just asking a question.
just for the record, this resolution would be modifying section 2B, where it indicates Monday, February 17, 2025, President's Day. It originally said council meet on Wednesday, February 19, 2025. The amendment would be council will meet on Tuesday, February 18, 2025. That is the updated resolution 25-R-7. All other statements in that original resolution remain the same.
Discussion first, or just,
Bull, you have a discussion on it?
do we need to have any more discussions on moving the date? Okay, so I need a
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
motion to waive the 3 readings.
That's it right there. Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
Smolik, Ms. Simons with the second. Ms. Muscatella, call the roll.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Schultz with the motion to declare emergency, and Mr. Smolik with the second. Ms. Muscatella, call the roll.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to council comments.
I would just like to say thank you to the police, fire, and service department for helping me out this weekend. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to continuing concerns. Looking for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll say aye.
Aye.